evokes Wargames rules. Many types, many genres, timescales, time periods, lots and lots to choose from. Back in the day, of course, this wasn't the case. For me, I started back in the early 1970s. Makes me very old, which is okay, I suppose. And when I started wargaming, we were just, for ancient games, we were using 5th edition. I only played a few games of 5th edition. Then moved on to the 6th edition, which is the my baptism of fire for wargaming. The wargame scene, of course, was, well, I think it was fairly vibrant, fairly busy back in the mid-70s, moving towards the 80s. Attended quite a few conventions. There was no sort of real organised scene that I saw. If you went down to Newbury, you'd play one set of rules. If you went to Nottingham, another set of rules, or up to Manchester or Newcastle or Glasgow, you'd play other rules. There was no, that I noticed, well organised system really until 6th edition. Obviously this is for ancients. I wasn't a Napoleonic player, so I'm not sure what they did. I know Sheffield Triples had ancients, Napoleonics, I think, in World War II. That was very popular. Again, I tended to stick to the ancient scene, and with 6th edition we kind of condensed wargaming into a one rule set throughout the country. That's the UK. There weren't sort of, I seem to remember Newbury rules, and then Bob Connor's shock of impact rules. He was Nottingham or Mansfield, wasn't he? If anyone remembers him. Yeah, 6th edition, and with 6th edition, that was my baptism of fire, as I said before, into wargaming, into the competition scene. I grew up thinking that was it. Wargames competitions is what you did. You learned how to play, you bought your armies, and you played competitions. I know now that's wrong, because I'm older and wiser, he said, hopefully. But with that, we now had a unifying set of Wargames rules. So you as an individual, or clubs, mainly clubs for me, you could then play around the country, which we did. We went south, we went east. No, we didn't go east. We were in the east, in Cambridgeshire. We went west, sorry, and we went north. We played lots of games all over the place. I did well in some and got absolutely hammered in others. But wherever you went, it was 6th edition. Now they're sort of frowned upon, obviously. They probably were a few years ago, as a very clicky, competition-y set of rules. But if you're playing a competition, that's what rules are. They need to be succinct or easily manageable and worked out, and you know the rule system has to be usable for everybody. So if you come from Glasgow and you come down to Derby to play a war game, you know, with your 6th edition, I mean, often there were local club clarifications or amendments, and you'd get a clarification sheet where they might temporarily change odd bits, or say X was Y and Y is X. But in general, it was the same set of rules that you would have played back at your clubhouse. Yep, so I'm merrily playing 6th edition. That would have been, what, early 80s, I suppose, wouldn't it? And then 7th edition comes along. Totally different, but not so much if you're a competition player. So I seem to recall, within a sort of year or so, we'd moved over to 7th. The competition circuit was 7th. It was a bit of a rocky start with some quick changes in the rules and bits they hadn't realised would work and wouldn't work. These were supposed to have been play tested by the group. Phil Barker, WRG, the guy that wrote the rules, would have groups play test them for him. And we used to jokingly say, who whoever on earth are these people that are playtesting? They don't play like we do. But anyway, it was sorted out, and then there were several reprints with different amendments and different bits and pieces. And the last, I think, amendment is, let me just go check. Yeah, August 1992 is the last update. And I think by then I had stopped playing competition games. Got a family come along, 3 children, and they all need looking after, and I was working for myself then, so going off trolling all over the country playing war games was not appropriate. Let's say it that way. What had happened in the meantime, though, was that Phil Barker, the author of the WRG 7th edition rules, the main author, had become, let's say, very disenchanted with his rules and how people were using them, and the arguments and the complaints. So he started to develop DBA rules, which I see were first released in 1990. I didn't realise it was that early. I also noticed as late as 2014 it was on to another revised version. So that's 24 years of DBA. I don't understand that, because the minute I saw DBA rules, they were not for me. All I can say is a bastardization of armies, where you'd rip out one element, and that was a unit, and rip out one element of cavalry, and you called them weird names, and not for me at all. And playing on a tea tray. That's when I think I first noticed that people were having problems with playing on larger areas. Again, I don't know why. Most houses are big enough for a 6x4. I mean, my spare room, I can get a 6x4 in it. Just now, that's a tiny room, just a spare room. Anyway, we had DBA, and then that developed into DBM. Because by now I had stopped as the playing on the Wargame circuit, and it was just club games. And as we were getting older, we decided to keep WRG 7s. Some of the lads wanted to play DBA and DBM, and they were more than welcome to do that. And they played games in other parts of the clubhouse, and we shunned them. No, we didn't. I'm joking. And then we sort of broke away. Some of the club wanted to go on to other games rules and other things. So the older ones of us, or the people that preferred 7th edition, went off and did 7th. And I say this, what now? 30 years later, I'm still playing. In 2020, I'm playing our 7th edition, heavily revised. I'm not saying they're perfect. They never were perfect, but we like them. And in our age group, it's in the high numbers, let's say. So we've stuck with those rules. They're the rules we like. We've rewritten bits we don't like. We've added this and added that and taken away, which is what everyone should do. And we play rules that we enjoy. There's a lot of hard work learning new rules. I think that's it for people, to learn a new set of rules. Plus, you also remember parts of your old rule set. That's part of the problem. You'll go to do something in a new rule set thinking that you're right, and of course you're remembering from a previous set of rules, or 2 or 3 sets previous. So, which is why I say we stuck with the 1992 version. You sort of have to remember, at the time we'd been playing, the bulk of us had been playing for sort of 15 years, WRG style rules. They followed a very similar format, so we were stuck with that. You say from the late 70s, early 80s through to the mid 90s. So there was no reason for us to change, and because several of us now had got families, so we weren't on the Wargame circuit, we weren't going to conventions as much, and not to play games. Obviously, whether you've got a family, I don't think it's appropriate to be, herring off to play games, leaving the wife to cope with the kids. But there we go, that's personal choice. So we stuck with 7th, and as time went on into the early 2000s, 2010, there seemed no need to change. I did notice all these new rules appearing, and glanced through copies of them and saw copies of them, but thought, not for me. I didn't see a reason to change. I have noticed some great posts from Nick at Medieval Warrior. Nick is or has been showcasing rule sets, which is really useful. I do watch them all. I tell him I watch them all in case he tells me off. They're not for me, but I enjoy watching them. So new people coming onto the scene or looking at the showcase that Nick's providing will hopefully or may be enticed into various rule sets, which is great. It's good to have all these rule sets. What do we have to remember, or I try to remember, is that this is about fun, about enjoying something, making the hobby workable for you. Everyone will be different, but if you can enjoy what you do hobby-wise with X, Y, Z set of rules, it doesn't matter what they are, that's again a win-win for me, I think. So I shall carry on using 7th. I won't change, not at my age, and I enjoy it. So and it works for me, not for everyone, but it works for me and my little group. So anyway, just a rundown on my Wargames history. I hope it was of interest to some of you, and thanks a lot, and bye for now.